Hey, everybody out there, New Hopers, Pastor Jim coming at you with episode number 4 in our winter Soulcare series on living healthy. And we are so glad that you have joined us. Make sure you hit those like buttons and leave us a comment because we love to hear your comments.
I love feedback.
Yes, we love the feedback. So I'm here with Irma again, and we are talking more about living healthy. So if you've been following along, you've heard a lot that has to do with the idea of this crossover between our spiritual life, our emotional life, and how we treat our bodies and our physical life. So, and we're going to continue that today. So, Irma, in your material, you begin this section talking about how Jesus modeled handling our emotions. So why did you start this section today as we talk specifically about handling our blood sugar and how that works? So why did you start it that way?
I started this section this way because we're going to be talking about blood sugar. And blood sugar has so much to do with our emotions and our ability to handle stress and life. In Matthew 26, verse 37 to 39, we see Jesus becomes distressed and in anguish about his looming crucifixion.
Sure.
And yet in the middle of his pain, he prays to the Father that God's will be done. Even in the midst of this very trying time, he connects to the Father and shows us how to use self-control. He didn't ask for ice cream or I need a Mountain Dew, whatever. So I think he's a pretty good example of self-control and connecting with the Father.
Right on.
Blood sugar is the third pillar to our health, our body. We talked about inflammation, we talked about gut health, and today we're talking about blood sugar. And if these three things are in order, everything else can heal itself. These three are the pillars to our health. They're very interconnected, but very, very important.
Interesting.
We have over 50 different hormones in our body, and there's like the cortisol, which is our stress hormone. There's the serotonin, a neurotransmitter that communicates messages between nerve cells. There's adrenaline, which is fight or flight hormone. There's the thyroid hormones. There's dopamine, known as the happy or pleasure hormone. But insulin is our mother hormone to all the other hormones. So I like to think it as a mama duck. When the mama duck is in order, her little ducklings, they all follow
right behind.
But what if mama duck goes off the path or they're just going to be all scattered and around. That's how it is with our blood sugar, our insulin. When the insulin stays strong or that is balanced out, all of our other hormones can come into balance and will obey or will follow doing the right thing.
Right on. Okay. So as we move into this next one, we kind of talk about this a little bit in our Equip class, but I want you to talk about the fruit of the Spirit bringing comfort to us and satisfaction versus us having to go to sugary foods to bring comfort and satisfaction.
Oh, that can be tough, or that can feel tough. I think when we make peace with whatever is going on, there's always stress or whatever that we want to reach for sugar. When we make peace with that, and we prioritize time with God and allow him to love us, we hide his word in our heart. We accept things like physical touch and hugs and gifts, and we set up a time to talk through whatever is going on. And if we're patient with ourselves, the other one is takes time for us and is patient, which means we give ourselves autonomy. I can already feel like that. We go on a walk. This kind of thing brings the comfort to us that we need. It's letting the fruit of the Spirit do the work.
Yeah.
It's connecting with others. And this is what makes our body relaxes us. Sugary foods, on the other hand, are temporary comfort. And the need for it after we eat it, the need for it it's right back. It's basically procrastinating to deal with the actual need that we have.
Interesting. So think of like a baby who cannot regulate their own emotions. They depend on their mother's touch and their mother's love to help regulate their emotions, which, like you said, like a person, we need to rely on God to help us regulate our emotions or each other helping out. But when we go to something like sugar, we get a quick feeling of comfort, but it doesn't last.
Right.
Doesn't
It
last.
doesn't last, and then we need more.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes into our next question, which is what happens in our bodies when we flood ourselves, and more kind of like that short term. What are the short term effects when we flood our bodies with lots of sugar?
Well, it's going to mess with our mama hormone. It when we're feeding the bad bugs, what we talked about last week, as well as like our mood is going to be low. We have mood disorders. Our afternoon crash, or a crash, it might not be in the afternoon. Shakiness, just extreme hunger. You just feel like you have to, like, hangry. Irritability, getting sick more often, reoccurring infections, anxiety, depression, sugar and salt cravings. You just crave more and more. Some people get blurred vision, weight changes. I guess that's a little more of a long term maybe. Fatigue, headache, abdominal pain, constant thirst, or frequent urination. Just some of the symptoms.
The short-term ones that happen
Yeah.
right now. So what would be some of more the long-term effects of living under high blood sugar, where I just keep flooding my system with more sugar, more sugar, more sugar, those long-term effects?
Well, then our body starts to become insulin resistant because the pancreas can't pump out enough insulin to keep up with all the sugar that we're having. And with time, the pancreas becomes overworked and it breaks down. Then after it's broken, it's unable to balance our blood sugars. And then, or the blood sugar levels, this causes us to become either hypoglycemic or diabetes. Some people it's low and some people it's high, but it's like that pancreas breaks down and then
It can't function anymore.
It can't function anymore. This also creates a lot of inflammation. This is one way we tend to get a lot of inflammation.
So that'd be like in our joints, like our elbows, our knuckles, our shoulders, and
yeah, we
hips and
talked
that
about
kind of
all the
stuff.
different things in the second video, but yeah, pain, that puffiness in our face.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what are some foods that we can eat that would actually help balance out our blood sugar?
That's the good thing. There is hope. Eating protein with every meal, it can be really important. Protein gives us long, sustaining energy and not just that high, like meats, nuts, yogurt, different things. Eating smaller portions and eating more often. Every 3 hours or so is a good goal. It's called more of like a graze eating. You just eat smaller portions. This just helps to kind of regulate that. Broccoli is good, has chromium in it. Eating whole foods versus the processed ones, replacing sugars and forms of sugars with like stevia and erythritol. Stevia and erythritol are sweeteners, but they don't make that blood sugar go all over the place. Replacing processed flours for sprouted grains or nut flours. And then if there's significant issues already, you can look at some like supplements to help with that. Would be chromium is a really good, and it's pretty easy to get, an ingredient. Cinnamon can be helpful, or a common bean extract, or white kidney bean extract. There's a specific extraction called Phaseolus vulgaris. It's a very specific extract that can help with that. Oxygenated magnesium is really good. And exercise, get enough sleep. Check out the gut health video. That one, the gut health plays into this as well.
Gotcha.
They're interconnected. And then celebrate. If you did a week of doing well, celebrate that. So like celebrate have something in mind. When I reach this, I'm gonna get that or do that. Like if I'm gonna get myself that nice water bottle, or I'm gonna get myself, maybe eat out. There's still good options, or whatever that thing is for you. Like budget for that, and then celebrate.
Yeah.
Like celebrate the little wins. We need to recognize what we did.
Yeah. You keep coming back to whole foods, and I think that's really interesting. If we would just eat whole foods, drink water, get our sleep, all of those kinds of things that are just healthy kinds of things, that it changes the way that our bodies work in a healthy way, which then affects our moods and then affects how we connect with God and all of that. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. So are there other things that we can do that positively affect our blood sugar?
I mentioned some of them here. Exercise, which is we'll be talking about in the next video. I think I mentioned most of them. I went all the way down here.
Okay.
But and getting enough sleep, that can be really important, because sleep is very, very important to restore your health, and it helps protect your health. Like, there is so much that happens while we sleep. So getting a good night of sleep can be really, really important.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay. And then last, is there a scripture passage that stands out to you as you consider this topic?
Yeah, in Ecclesiastes,
yep.
Yep. Verse 3, verse 12, it says, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. And but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such thing there is no law. We have unlimited access to that.
Yeah.
Galatians 5, that's in verse 22 and 23.
Yeah, and it's hard to live out those fruits of the Spirit when we feel pain, when we're living with being bloated, when we're feeling our joints are stiff, and those types of things from the inflammation that comes from the
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it says this, but it's like, how do the steps to finding these is oftentimes what brings us most comfort.
Yep. Very good. Okay, well, that's all we got for today. So hopefully some of the things that Irma was sharing today are helpful to you in putting that diet together, putting that handling that, and being able to eat in more healthy and wise ways, and how that just affects our whole lives, not just our physical life, but how that affects our emotional life and our spiritual life as well. So everybody have a great rest of your day and week, and we will look forward to seeing you back here next week.